I thought I would take a little time tonight just to talk about something that I've been interested in. I had a conversation with a friend of mine today, and we like to talk about consciousness and psychology and some of the advances that are being made in studying human consciousness. And we're talking about sort of mental states and mental structures. And the differences in how they're related. And a mental state is part of the limbic system. A mental state is a preparation for action. It's a particular state of mind. It's being prepared for a particular type of activity, and it's very chemically oriented. It's something that's driven by the limbic system. And in order for it to be a state, there has to be positive feedback. There has to be something which pushes it into that state and keeps the consciousness in that state. So a mental state is something that not only is something based on a predicted outcome, preparing you for a particular circumstance, fight or flight or what have you, okay? But it must be something that is positively reinforced, because otherwise it wouldn't be a state. It would be something you would transition to. So a state is something where you've become oriented towards a particular activity, be it running away, or be it fighting, or be it freezing, or being paralyzed with fear, that sort of thing. So there's a particular state associated with that. Now, mental structures are stories to a certain extent. Now, some of the research they've done, they found that perception and prediction are intimately entwined, that the two are actually part of the same process, that if we did not make predictions, we would not be able to perceive anything. And they've discovered this mechanism ingrained within the cortex. Okay, so the predictive mechanisms that our brain uses are such an integral part, even at the most primitive levels of neurology, that it's undeniable that there's a very strong predictive element to perception. Okay, and these the structures are the stories, and the stories basically has a history, has a present, and has a future. Okay, so the story is a pattern recognition, that you recognize actors within a particular story. There's a plot, and there's a situation, there's a history, and then there's some outcome, and then you perceive yourself as fitting in within that story. Okay, that's very much sort of a basic unit of human understanding. So these stories can activate the limbic system and propel you towards a particular mental state. Okay, so depending upon what you perceive, you may be drawn towards particular mental states. So the mental structures have a very profound influence on the mental state. And where's the positive feedback come in? Well, when you are tending towards a particular mental state, because stories in the mind tend to exist in the imagination, and the imagination has got a very difficult time dealing with uncertainties and unknowns. The imagination will tend to fill in details, concrete details within that storyline. And if it's unknown, if you're already headed towards a particular mental state, then it's very easy for your mental state to start filling in the details in the story according to your expectations. So there's a positive feedback loop that mental states, in driving towards a particular mental state, will tend to fill in the blanks of the story in order to satisfy the mental state that you're going towards. So one of the things that they've been discovering with psychology is that to alter people's behavior, their unconscious behavior, and the way that they react to particular situations, the mental states. They're triggered through particular scenarios or situations or conversations or what have you, that the key thing the person needs to learn how to do is to be able to recognize when he is starting to go into a particular mental state. And the earlier the better, because once you recognize the mental state, you can thereby have some understanding and understand that you are inclined to filling in things you don't know with concrete details with your imagination that would tend to confirm the mental state you're going towards. So this is something that can be very effective for people who have suffered trauma, who are very fearful, phobias, for example, having some unreasonable fear. The mind starts to go wild with filling in all the details within this story, So there's a lot of room for developing treatment along those lines. So it's a very interesting subject. Anyways, that's probably all I should say for now. So thanks for listening, and look forward to your comments. Bye.